I looked at some of the stuff on Wowhead, but I haven't looked at everything with 10.1 yet. I looked at like the Mythic 1 change, the Mythic Plus transitions and the changes, but I haven't looked at like the raid too much, like the solo content, except like actually I looked at like the 10.07 content, not the solo content in this patch.
We got a sneaky presentation from Blizzard about what's coming up in 10.1 as well as the 10.07 release date, with a whole bunch of new features for World of Warcraft. Some of them I'm not quite sure I understand what they are.
Uh-oh.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, this is gonna be big, right? So I think this patch is probably the most important patch of the expansion because it's the first one and it's gonna set the theme for the other patches. Because if this patch isn't good, then a lot of people I think are gonna leave and then not come back until the next expansion. Like the first patch in Shadowlands after Castle Nathria, that's when people started dropping like flies. I dropped after that patch because the new raid was dumb. I mean, the new raid wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but the domination shards were stupid. I had to switch my covenants, and there was no easy way to do that. You had to grind all the renown again. So I had to do Plaguefall on, I think, Mythic 0 for 10 hours straight to get to my renown higher, which was just not fun. I was just so annoyed at the game. I knew the system was so stupid. I was wasting my time. I had no fun with that. That was just the chores. And Torghast was bad. Pretty much my guild, most of the players quit the game at that point. I quit the game. I got burnt out. The new island, the new zone was just like underwhelming, you know, just like more dailies and more crap for you to do. Yeah, so the first patch in Shadowlands was just awful, right? It was just so bad. They also came out with the new Moss stuff. The new Moss stuff was awful. So like, I feel like this patch is really important. I hope the raid's good. I hope the solo content's good. I hope they don't create any systems. The new gems, I guess you can call it a system, but it doesn't seem that bad. They seem pretty easy to get. I think most people will, you know, get them pretty fast. Did you see that Preach had a pipe? Yeah, I watched that, man. His whole studio. I watched like a few minutes of like the results afterwards, where like there's all that mold everywhere. That's crazy. I feel bad. I hope looks like he's up and running again in like a different studio, which is good. That's gotta feel awful though, especially when you're like, you know, hundreds or thousands of miles away. That's gotta feel really bad. Oh, people from his community came and ripped everything out. Wait, is he in the same studio? They like fix? No way they fixed it up, right? I feel like at that point you'd have to rebuild. From what he showed in that one video, there was like mold everywhere. Like I would just leave and get a new facility at that point. You know, mold exposure is pretty serious, and that you would get really sick from like just staying there.
It all went so well.
So is this a new place? I think it's a new place, right? Because his old background, he had more room behind him. Oh wait, so is this the same studio?
A little Zoom meeting with a lot of our content creator friends, and God bless the new Blizzard philosophy in communication with not only us, but you.
Oh, okay, so they're just using a space for now. Oh, so it's like a different room? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope they really, I mean, I'm sure he will, right? But they really need to, like, make sure that they get rid of all that mold and stuff. That sucks, though. Hope he had insurance, because that would be extremely expensive. And, well, the nice thing is, he also has video footage. Right, he showed video footage in the video, and they can prove that, like, you know, we had a leak, we had a pipe burst, so they should hopefully get all the money they can to rebuild.
You guys as well, revealing their plans, getting excited about it, talking in chat like real human beings. My God, if you compare it to the time when I was at the end of my rope with World of Warcraft, I was at the end of my tether with Blizzard themselves, and how they've turned that around in terms of communication and getting information out to people and trying to get you excited about it and trying to gain feedback as early as possible. It's a whole new world over there, and I really hope they figure out their internal issues, which have been in the news lately, and we've made some videos on that as well.
Friends offered them like a whole ass building, but they said they need other stuff. Yeah, you need a lot of equipment. That's the thing. And I feel like once you get like your studio set up, like my room of requirement here, once you get this set up, it's hard for you to change things.
We're right in the middle of Project MMO right now, which is looking at various different MMOs and seeing how they're all pulling from each other in order to guide their game forward. And that's going to be very relevant in this video. I
actually really like this Project MMO thing he's doing. I've been watching the Guild Wars stuff. I watched one video the other day, and it's interesting to see because I tried a lot of these MMOs when they came out. I tried Guild Wars 2, the beta for that. I tried New Worlds recently. I tried Rift when that came out, if you remember Rift. I tried Star Wars Old Republic when that came out. I think my favorite MMO that came out that was the best outside of all of these ones, you know, Rift, Lost Ark. Oh, Lost Ark's probably one of my favorites that come out. Like, Lost Ark is so good. The combat feels good. It's just the end game systems and the grinding is just too much for me. I got burnt out. I think most people got burnt out. Plus, the bot problem is just crazy. The bots are it's just ridiculous, and it gets pay to win, which really sucks. So I think Lost Ark had the most potential, but the other one that really popped out to me, which I was surprised about, was Star Wars: The Old Republic. Star Wars: The Old Republic, when that came out, was amazing because you had great story, you had voice acting quests, you did your own quests. You got like your lightsaber. It felt good. The PvP was actually really well done. Like the battleground system was really fun. I played a sniper, so I had like my cool sniper in the rotation. The combat felt like really smooth and solid. The dungeons were good. It felt like a really polished MMO. And I forget why I quit. I think there wasn't much endgame, if I remember. Like I don't think I rated it at all. You know, like Star Wars: The Old Republic was great. Oh, Elder Scrolls Online. I played the beta, and then I was like, this game sucks ass. And then I came back to it like a few years ago. Actually, all my friends actually tried it like a year ago. I tried it again. I love Skyrim and everything, but the combat in Elder Scrolls Online is just so bad. It's just like doesn't compare to any. Like, it's just like it's really clunky. It doesn't feel good. I played a warrior, and just like left clicking. Like most of what you do is you just like left click. And that it doesn't feel good. Like I had abilities, but they didn't really. I don't know. It didn't feel good. I mean, I'm sure. Oh, what's up, Rosmer? What's up, Scott? Yeah, and I didn't like. I didn't like it at all. The story is good though. That's like the one thing that's really good about Elder Scrolls Online. It's like the story, right? I remember doing some quest lines, and I was surprised how much. Like how good it was. Like you said, like the voice acting for every quest is really good. Like that's the one thing WoW sucks at is like the quest thing. I know it's gotten really good in the Dragonflight. It's gotten better, but like if you go back expansions ago, like no one really cares. There's no voice acting for the quests, right? Like Final Fantasy 14 story is amazing. The voice acting is good. Obviously ARR is kind of mid, but Heavensward is really good. Have you tried the hardcore mode people are doing now in WoW? I've actually been considering it because it looks fun, right? Like hardcore looks fun as classic WoW. And I think it'd make it more fun. If I was gonna do it, I'd play Alliance because I already leveled from classic WoW 1 through 60 when it came out. And I played on Horde, and I want to like mix it up. I also want to play Hunter, even though Hunter's still good at leveling. Like I leveled the 1 through 60 in I think 6.5 days, which is pretty good timing. Like I think the average is like 7, and obviously I'm playing Hunter, right? That Hunter is such a good leveler. So, and that's not fast at all compared to other people, but I think it was decent, and I wasn't speedrunning it or anything. I don't know what I'd play. I kind of want to play a tank because classic WoW, any version of WoW, tanks are so in demand. But the thing with tanking is, say I'm doing a dungeon, right, and my healer disconnects. Bam, that's my run. That's it. Gotta start over. That's why I don't like to play hardcore and a lot of like action RPGs like Diablo 3 or even Path of Exile. I think Path of Exile is even worse than Diablo 3. Path of Exile is known to have a lot of crashes. At least I have a lot of crashes, especially when a league starts. If I play hardcore and I just crash and then I die, that's gotta feel like shit, right? So I don't know how I'd feel about playing hardcore in an action RPG. I think I might play Diablo 4 hardcore characters because I think it just makes the game more exciting. Like Diablo 3 is boring as hell. But I think playing hardcore just adds all the excitement, right? I did at level 8. Oh no! The thing was, I think classic WoW. I think honestly the first like 15 levels are really hard because if you're playing a melee character and you aggro a second mob, you're just kind of dead. And you don't have any resources. You don't have potions yet. You don't have first aid, really. You have like 4 copper. It's pretty tough. Luckily, as Hunter, you can just run away. And you can, like, your pet can just die. But I think the first, like, 15 to 20 levels in Classic is the hardest. I'm sure. But then again, I don't know. I don't play Classic WoW too much. What class did you roll? But I might try Classic WoW. I think that today I might play Elden Ring. But we'll see. We'll see.
Some things which definitely look like they were maybe pulled from other games a little bit. Mayhap.
Good. Do that. Blizzard, pull out, copy everything and just, like, polish it better.
We'll see. We'll see where it's going.
Please.
So how did it go? Well, we got the release date for 10.07, which will contain the new Torghast-style puzzle system, as well as some new zone stuff, and we've got a video coming for you in the next few days. I'm playtesting it whenever I get opportunity and trying to find all the little quirks and tweaks and stuff. So that's going to be coming on March 21st for you guys, but the main focus was on 10.1, Season 2, all the new big content in the big main patch that's going to be coming for you guys. So the first thing they did was show us the story cutscene. There will be spoilers here, but I'm assuming if you're interested in 10.1, you're probably a little up to date with what's happening in Dragonflight. But either way, I'm sure you know that Raszageth died. Yes, he was killed in the raid. But as Raszageth died, of course, Raszageth's siblings were released. We had the stone, ice, and fire dragons were released from their imprisonment, and that's exactly what they started off with,
like elementals.
With this cutscene. We got to see these 3 siblings, and they're adding a bit of wisdom to them. I really like this. A lot of the villains in World of Warcraft are like, I am bad. It's like, okay, you're bad, I suppose. Or they're doing some really convoluted storyline, as we saw in Shadowlands. That's like,
I didn't see this cutscene. I didn't see this cutscene at all.
I can't anymore. I can't.
Those are
what we did see is that the
siblings?
leader, the Stone Dragon, was saying we need to be cautious. These guys.
So I'm guessing each raid will have like an end boss. Will be like one of the siblings.
Guys are not jokes. They're not to be underestimated. We need to keep our peepers open on these guys.
That's pretty cool.
Because they killed Raszageth. They're no jokes. Where we saw ice and fire were a little bit more reckless, a little bit more like...
Yo, how long has Khadgar been around? This man's been saving Azeroth for like a decade now. Like, I feel like Khadgar is like the new Thrall. He came out during Legion, right? Khadgar is like the new Thrall, and I don't really care for him that much. Like, can we move on from Khadgar? Like, Thrall was badass. Like, the old chieftains were badass, and then you have it's just like this mage. I don't know.
Like, let's just kick their ass and take names and Stone Bro.
I kind of wish they would just start with like a new expansion where there's brand new characters, brand new protagonists. Obviously, we're the protagonists, but like if they can have like other characters that go with us that are new, maybe they're like local to that continent. Like maybe if you discover Dragonflight and there are a bunch of like, obviously you have like new characters, like that guy with the blue hair is new, but I don't know. I like to have all brand new characters. Khadgar is kind of boring now.
I was like, oh, whoa. We need some things first. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be a Giga story man, I'm not, but what I did find really interesting in here, and the main focus seemingly at the start of 10.1 is going to be on Fyrak, which is the fire dragon, is actually the leader, who's clearly the leader, Stonebro, and definitely had a Thanos vibe to him as to how powerful he was very focused on showing in the cutscene his telekinetic abilities. And I would expect raiders out there, who are no doubt going to be facing him, be ready to have your ass slammed into the floor, because if he's doing anything, he's not picking anything up. This guy doesn't even pick up his spoons, eat his breakfast. This guy telekinesis,
he's got the mind
everything.
Power.
We had a lot of this going on with the rising and slamming and killing everything, but very, very extraordinarily powerful. It was nice, actually. It had a menacing vibe to it. Really liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. And they mentioned in the story, they mentioned in the cutscene that they're not going to go to war straight away, even though there's 3 of them. Instead, the brothers and sisters are going to go looking for Neltharion's lab. Where
I wonder if the next raid is going to actually have like all 3 of these siblings, because I feel like they're kind of probably like after Raszageth died, right? They should probably like group up and fight us as a unit, you know? So maybe like the next raid will have all 3 of them. Or they could do it where it doesn't make as much sense, where it's just like, oh, you know, they just fight us one at a time and at each different raid.
Where he was conducting all his experiments. And they don't care about the crappy experiments that Neltharion was doing. What they actually want is the power source. They need the power source that comes from the lab in order to do something with it. So they're looking for more power to strengthen them against us because we're clearly not jokes. I like this. I like this. They're not just the all-consuming power that I will kill you by ramming my giant sword into the earth. This time they're taking a little bit of patience and time in order to prepare for it. So really like this. But let's
I never really saw that cutscene either, but it looks cool.
Stuff, which is the gameplay, and there's a lot here. And interestingly, seemingly, any of you guys like Cataclysm? I know it's a mixed bag in some people's...
Yo, Cataclysm first tier, raid tier was one of the best.
But a lot of Cataclysm inspired stuff is coming this way, and it's kind of interesting. Let's get the basics out of the way. So Mythic Plus new season, as you will know, or maybe you don't know, they're going to be...
I'm actually really excited for this. I hope that... I kind of like seasonal affixes, to be honest. I think it makes each season unique and fun in its own way and adds some challenge to it. But, I mean, I think it's going to be kind of boring to play with only 2 affixes past 10, right? They said there's only going to be 2 affixes, I'm pretty sure.
Be, like, sunsetting the dungeons that are in the current Mythic Plus pool for now. And then a whole new fresh bunch of Mythic Plus dungeons is coming in. So we'll get the next
I'm excited for this. I'm just excited to play different dungeons, though. I'm kind of bored of this rotation. Obviously, you always get bored after the end of the season. I cannot wait to never do Naku Defensive or Reserve Vault again.
Dragonflight dungeons, which are not currently in the M Plus dungeons, as well as a bunch of older dungeons brought up to the modern era. So Freehold is going to be in there. Interestingly enough, Vortex Pinnacle from Kata is going to be in the pool. They have gone back as far as the Cataclysm dungeons now.
That's going to be fun.
In order to make some Mythic Plus dungeons. Awesome. These dungeons are great. I had a great time in Vortex Pinnacle. I thought it was really fun. I'll be interested to see the Tyrannical Wind Boss doing his magic once again. I'll be very curious when we get to play that as to how fun it is. There's a lot of people who got lost in Vortex Pinnacle and ended up flying off into the sunset. But we'll see how that goes. But maybe once again we will get to break ourselves upon his body.
Oh, I forgot about this boss. When was this was Cataclysm, right? This boss, I died. People always died from this boss. Doesn't he like slam the ground, and if you're too close, you just get one shot?
That dungeon, the Stone Core, reappear. It's not in this Mythic Plus pool, but they've clearly gone back to Cataclysm to get some new dungeons.
Yeah, that thing hurts.
I wouldn't mind seeing Stone Core again. It's got some nice, simple, and effective mechanics in there, and they'll no doubt modify some of them as well. So we could be seeing...
This was actually a pretty good dungeon. I like this dungeon. The only thing about this dungeon which really sucked is I think the room before this boss there's some pretty hard pulls, and I think like one of them fears you, like casts a fear, and if that goes off, you kind of just swipe because you just walk into the other mobs. And there's some paths to go by too, so I think that room is the hardest part of this dungeon.
Dungeons like that, and maybe even going back further, maybe we'll see some Wrath of the Lich King dungeons. I don't know. We could see that. We could definitely see something like that, as well as some Legion dungeons coming in. Neltharin's Lair will be reappearing as well in there. We did find out about the new raid. We obviously expecting a new raid. No surprises there, but it is Aberrus the Shadowed Crucible. It's going to be a 9-boss raid, so right.
9 bosses, okay. I think at least 8 is good, but I'm down with 9.
Middle of where we would expect these raids to be. But the interesting thing is, once again, they are going to be releasing all the difficulties at once. Bit of a mixed reception on this. Some people liked it, some people didn't.
I know the Race to the World First raiders didn't like it, because I think the Race to the World First was just like less interesting, because usually with the Race to the World First, you know, they're doing the heroic for a week, and then that's new and that's the hardest content, so it's interesting to watch, especially the last boss, right? They get to do Sylvanas, even though Sylvanas was boring, but like Sire Denathrius on heroic looks pretty cool to watch. It's a hard fight, and then the momentum builds up, and then they do mythic and they just slam mythic straight, and that's interesting to watch too. Whereas now, like, all the raids come out, and instead of going right into Mythic, watching them race, it's just like, okay, we gotta wait like 5 days for these guys to just do splits and to just get geared.
Certainly, as somebody who's involved in the Race to World First, it doesn't generally mean that there's going to be a ton of splits at the start of the Race to World First. So hopefully I'm going to work with whoever I'm going to be casting with, assuming I'm going to be casting, to create something really fun during that period of time, because it's going to be happening again. That's the way it's going to be. I actually put this presentation out to my team.
We need that.
The non-raiders didn't really care. The people with experience with raiding hated this. They were like, God damn it, it doesn't seem to benefit anyone. It looks like it probably is happening because there's a very close overlap with Diablo 4 in June. So we can probably...
June. Oh, wait, so when does 10.1 come out? Have they released the 10.1 release date? Is it coming out in June? Oof. To be honest with you, I think I'm gonna play Diablo 4 more than the raid, more than WoW. I'm gonna go pretty hard in Diablo 4, and then I'll catch up on WoW, whatever.
Probably expect the raid to be around then, and Diablo 4 is coming out as well. This does seem to suit Blizzard more than it suits the players, but I'm sure some people prefer to have all the difficulties out at once. I personally think a week or so delay is nice for getting.
I think they should delay these, right? They should have like, okay, the raid come out, the new patch come out, and then a month later come out with Diablo 4, or vice versa.
Into Mythic, you kind of can take your time. You can have some.
Because then you just have a drought with Blizzard games. If you like you release content like every quarter, like or every like month or two, like, oh, you know, maybe here's a new patch for this game. Overwatch, here's a new patch for this game. Hearthstone, here's a new patch for this game. You're getting your player base come back, and then they can, if they like all your games, which I feel like a lot of Blizzard players, a lot of WoW players, they play Diablo 3, they might play Hearthstone. No one plays Hero of the Storm, right? But that means like you could consistently have a player base. Whereas if you come out with everything at the same time, I feel like people are just gonna like gravitate to the game they play most, and they might not play like Diablo 4, or they might not play WoW when it comes out. Like I like having to pick between two of these kind of sucks. I want to play both, right? I want to play the patch 10.1. I'm spitting everywhere, and then I want to play Diablo 4 as well. But having to pick between them kind of sucks, especially if like you're in a raiding guild. Like obviously I'm gonna play Diablo 4, but
some fun in Heroic.
I don't like having to pick.
You can get a lot of gear out of Heroic. You can do whatever you want to do. And then you're kind of ready to go into Mythic. If you're a Mythic guild, you don't need to think about doing Heroic in Mythic week when the content you really want to do is just sat there. But yeah, maybe it's a Diablo 4 overlap, whatever it's going to be. Personally, I don't like it.
Drop the game.
That's my opinion on it. I don't like it. I know from my Mythic raiding days, when Mythic's out, I want to go into Mythic. I don't want to go do Heroic. I don't want to do that. But there are lots of players who aren't in that position who probably just don't care. It doesn't make any difference to them whatsoever. They're not planning on touching Mythic in week 1, 2, or 3 anyway. And perhaps the first boss is really easy, which often happens in Mythic, in which case even the Heroic guilds in the early Heroic progress days can jump in and maybe get the first boss kill and pick up some Mythic items. So for them, it could be a benefit. Personally, not a big fan. I don't want to be thinking about Heroic once we get into Mythic, at least not till like later in the week for a couple of hours just to clear it or something. I want to focus on what I want to do. We are getting a new zone though, so again, this Cataclysm vibe. You guys remember Deep Home? You remember that sweet booty? I do. I remember that sweet booty. And the new zone, Zaralek Cavern, is underground. We are going cave diving. And we're going to have a roof over our heads, diving deep. But
I hope you can mount up. I really hope you can mount up in this zone. I hate having to just walk around. You know, that's the worst. Like the mall, not even being able to mount up was so lame.
This place is bigger than Zareth Mortis. Only just, but it is bigger than Zareth Mortis. Once again, flying will be enabled from the very first go.
Oh, there we go.
Very nice. And they designed this, and this is what I'm super curious about with this content, is what lessons have they learned from the Dragonflight launch? What lessons have they picked up from what people actually did with Dragonflying and found a lot of fun and things that people didn't find particularly fun?
Wait, look at this dude. He's a karate master right there.
And things that people they learned from the Dragonflight launch. What lessons have they picked up from what people actually did with Dragonflying?
He's in Cobra Kai. He's about to he's got a black belt. You can't enter this without going through him.
Dragonflying, and found a lot of fun and things that people didn't find particularly fun, and now they can modify it. That's what's always so impressive. And again, with Project MMO that we're doing, we're seeing that progression across the timelines of what worked, what didn't. Let's make that better and let's improve on this part. And now we're going to get to see how that works, because we are going to have a whole new bunch of dragon riding abilities. Hover? Mayhaps.
Okay.
One of the biggest requests has been the ability to just chill on my mount and just relax. So maybe that's coming, but we're going to have a whole bunch of new Dragonflight glyphs to come with that to unlock the new abilities. Really curious what they do with this, because the Dragonflight glyphs I would consider to be kind of a misfire for the most part. Kind of fun first time round.
Yeah, I know. I like the Dragonflying glyphs. I think it like made exploring pretty fun, and then it really sucked not having them before. You know, we only had like what 3 charges on your mount. But once you get them, you can kind of feel how like powerful you get in terms of speed. Like once you have all the glyphs, you can just fly anywhere so fast. You know, it's so OP, and like you don't have to do any flight paths anymore, which is really fun. So I actually really do like Dragonflying glyphs. I think they were fun. Obviously, they're a one-time thing. Like, you get it and then you're done. I don't think it's super hard for them to implement either. So I think it adds decent content, but it's just like a one-time thing. You do it once, then you have it forever. which is fine. I do enjoy it.
But definitely, once you kind of got the idea, is like, hey, it's really smart if I just go and get these in half an hour or whatever, and then I have a giant menu where dragon riding abilities are like half the screen, and it's a half an hour's worth of content. There's something not quite balancing out there, right? There's something not quite right with them. It's common knowledge now. If you play Dragonflight for the first time, it's like go and get your dragon glyphs like straight away.
Yeah, that does kind of feel bad. Like I remember I recruited somebody for my raid in my pug, and it was a demon hunter, and this dude was in what's the bottom continent, the Azure Span or whatever, and this dude said he didn't get any dragon flying glyphs yet, and we waited like 20 fucking minutes for him to get to the raid. It took him forever. I was like, dude, you're level 70, you're like 400 eye level. How have you not gotten the glyphs yet? I'm just like, what?
First thing you should do, because it just makes the whole game so much easier and so much more fun. And therefore, it's kind of a dead-end piece of content. I'm really curious what they do with this. Will they add this into some mini-games? Will they tie them to races? Or will they just be exploration things again? And they're actually fine with that. I'm curious how Blizzard has taken the Dragon Glyph idea and either grown it or accepted as like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, we just want you to explore the zone. That's it.
Yeah, no, I have the add-on. Or it's like, I forget. He's probably just lazy or something. I don't know. Maybe he was just like, oh, I just want to get to end game and get geared. Which is like, yeah, that's what I wanted to do too. But like not having the glyphs is just gonna slow you down.
Flying anyway. But one of the things they mentioned, a big shout outs to Maria, who did the presentation here. Maria's one of the people we interviewed when we were at Blizzard. She's a wonderful lady, lead quest designer on World of Warcraft. Absolutely amazing to see her delivering what this new content is going to be, considering she's in charge of most of the stuff that's coming out in these kinds of patches. Amazing. Is that she mentioned there's a lot of scenic opportunity for weaving through the stalagmites and the stalactites that are going to be in Zerlek Cavern, allow you to do some really cool flying things, which I think people really like. I know I do with dragon flying, just being able to Top Gun your way through all the...
I think the dragon races are really fun, you know, throughout the new zones. Like when they go through like these little like tunnels here, or they go through like those little caves, that's really fun.
All these valleys and things like that. That's a super fun thing to do with your dragon. So I'm happy to see they're going to be doing that. So very interested on
I really think dragon riding was probably one of the best changes that they've added, or features they added in Dragonflight.
Lessons they've learned and what they show us here with this. We are going to get a new Renown faction down there. This was a misfire. Again, when we put this out to the team, not a misfire, but a mixed bag. The Niffins. They're very cutesy, mole, blind creatures.
Okay.
Little cutesy things that are going to be out there. They remind me of Porgs. I think they're called Porgs from Star Wars, where you either love, hate them.
Some badass white girls.
Some people love them, some people hate them. That are in there, but new mini games similar to what we had with the Renowned tracks we are.
There is just a whole zone with pogs everywhere.
We have in Dragonflight, but they're including cave diving into here. I want to know, funny. Are they improving on this? Because
that thing is weird looking. What is this game? That's terrifying. Imagine this is like a raid boss. Like he's like 100 times bigger than he is. A world boss. That dude just looks like he smells bad.
The Pokemon Snap and all that was such great potential. It didn't.
What is that just looks creepy.
Really go anywhere. It was one of the things we talked about during the alpha and beta. Is like, hey, this is a great basis to.
Oh my god, the troll's face. These guys are my favorite. Can I play as one of these trolls? How come I can't? Please, Blizzard. Please
make something really cool.
I want to play a hunter that looks like that so bad. Oh my god.
Later down the line, like if this advances and goes anywhere, it hasn't done that yet. So what's the new version of it going to be? Is it relatively simple? I predict it probably will be. Or is it something that has a bit of depth to it, a bit of substance to add to it? Now, they are mixing in here snail races. So where Project MMO comes in, because I've been doing Guild Wars 2 as part of my discovery process on our journey of MMOs, and they have beetle races. They have them in the very earliest zones, pretty much.
Well, I like the Chocobo races in Final Fantasy, but I feel like the Chocobo races, they're just, it's like with Final Fantasy combat, I feel like there's a little bit of latency. It's not as responsive. And then the Chocobo races, dude, you have to press a button like a second before the Chocobo does the action. It feels really laggy.
That you can just go doing hyper fast beetle races. They have their own leaderboards. They have their own reward structure.
I like this. This is cool. But the thing is, this is fast. Like, how fast is a snail race gonna be? Like, snails are slow, right? So maybe you go faster if you get like you go through like the right little hoop here or something. I don't know what it's gonna look like.
All that kind of stuff. My guess is this is just ripped out of Guild Wars 2, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, yeah, do it, copy it. Like they've been copying Guild Wars 2 with the with the dragon flying, right? So keep copying Guild Wars.
I am that guy now. I've played it, so I'm pretty sure the snail races are probably the beetle races. Will they be as good? That's the question. There's drifting and stuff with the beetle races, and they're very, very quick. And some of the courses are particularly challenging. So I'll be interested to see how the snail race...
Like, yeah, if Blizzard could do this and make it maybe a little bit better somehow, that'd be awesome.
This is work out.
Because I think I could see myself doing this a lot. Like this stream, you know, we could do like race tournaments set up. You could just do you could just have like your own content regarding that.
No, it's just as soon as I saw snail races, I was like, that sounds awfully familiar to something that I've been playing this last couple of weeks. So I'll be very curious to see how that goes. The best thing about the new zone, though, the new raid, does have its all class specific tier sets. They're always subjective as to whether you like them or not, or whether you're going to stick with what you have. But one of the coolest things we saw here, and seemingly universal amongst my team at least, was the themed outdoor world sets, which are based on the Black Dragonfly, which are a big part of 10.1.
I just watched the other tier sets, but these are outdoor sets.
Matching armor mounts. And they're awesome looking. They're really good. And I was like, this is great.
That staff looks sick on the left there. All these look really nice, actually. I kind of wish, though, this was like red or fire. Looks like Sauron's eye or something from Lord of the Rings. That'd be cool.
Mounts that are also armored the same as your character is a really stark, bold image that a lot of people will get on board with, especially if they're repping a dragonfly that they have a particular affinity to. And this is something that can be extended to so many things. Instead of it being, I've got to find the right mount recolor to match my armor, kind of, and most people just don't bother when it comes to mounts, especially because we're limited to dragons. We are getting new dragons. We saw a little preview picture of the new dragons that you'll be getting if you want more. They looked a bit spindly compared. I have a big beefy dragon. That's what I have in Dragonflight, but there is some new dragons coming. But we have ground mounts as well. They haven't given up on that. One of the biggest complaints I saw from my mount and collector friends was that Dragonflight did not have a lot of mount collection.
Yeah, I think Shadowlands had so many mounts you could get. You could get that pony or that unicorn, purple unicorn from doing that weird thing, and the night phase zone. Right, you had to like get this thing, and then you go in like the shadow realm, and then you had to I think kill it or tame it or something, and then you get the mount. They had the Blanchy mount, right? That Blanchy mount was my favorite mount of the expansion. You had to go, once a day you could do part of the quest chain, or get to find these things. There's 8 or 7 different things you have to find, and then after a week of doing it, you get the mount. There was a lot of just mobs that drop mounts. There was another zone where I think there was something with the mushrooms. You'd get the mount. There was another zone where you would just kill this rare that you get a mount from. They had so many mounts in Shadowlands. After the first month, I had 10 new mounts, and they were all pretty easy to get as well. And they were all really unique and cool. I think the one downside with Dragonflight is there's not as many mounts, and I think the Mythic Plus 2000 IO whatever achievement mount, the Keystone Master mount, it's just it doesn't fit the expansion. I feel like the Keystone Master mount should have been a dragon flying mount, right? That's the whole point of the expansion is dragon flying and being able to fly with your dragon. And they gave us this ground mount, so you can't show it off, because everyone's in the new city. It didn't seem great. Oh yeah, they're pretty easy to get. The Blanchy one, I think it's called Senior Blanchy or something. It's this cool red horse. That one was probably my favorite one from Shadowlands, and it's really easy to get. It's just gotta take some time each day. It just takes I think a week to get.
Their usual first weeks of a new expansion are spent farming the rares, collecting the chain quests that need to be done. There was a couple, but nowhere near as many as there were in Shadowlands and stuff. But now, it looks like Zaralek Cavern is going to be reintroducing some of that stuff that people like, and with cool themes to match them. They did say there's going to be recolors and stuff, but matching an armor set to collect, a weapon set to collect, and a matching mount to go with it. I think people are going to...
Dude, the mounts from the mod, too, were really cool in Shadowlands, right? I never got any of them, but they had that one mount that's the hand, where it's the fingers. And then they had that rare that rare horse that would go by with all that cool gold and armor. I think there's like 2 versions of that. They had like the bears, like the bears that made out of metal. The Shadowlands had like so many mounts. Now that I think about it, it's crazy.
I'm gonna dig on that. Really cool. Let's get to the things, the little extras that they announced here. That I wasn't particularly sure what it was. One of the big ones was the HUD UI revamp. They're not giving up. This means that, according to my calculations, the UI has had more updates in Dragonflight than it has since ever in the history of World of Warcraft. And I'm glad they're not giving up on it, because they're really trying to, and add-ons have been a big subject lately, trying to get away from people requiring certain add-ons.
What is this? Is this just most of this person's UI is just their mounts? I mean, I guess. Like here's all their rotation. What is this UI? This is troll. This guy's trolling. This is not real. I almost got the gold hand, I think, from the rings. I seen one ring though for it. Oh, the gold hand. Is there a golden hand? I only saw the silver one. That mount's one of the coolest ones. I wish I got that mount. I don't remember how you get it though. These look like they're all, look, it's even color coded. Oh my god, this guy went hard.
That you guys use all the time. Okay, let's just build that into the game, because if everybody's using it, then we should have it in the game. So they mentioned things like group manager are coming in, which is really nice. A raid frame modifier. Mwah, more work on the raid frames.
Oh,
please.
yeah.
It's so frustrating to get, because they're so nearly perfect, and I like using the Blizzard raid frames because all the weird debuffs and stuff just work on the Blizzard ones, whereas in some custom UIs, you've got to manually add things, you've got to filter things, all that kind of stuff. And the Blizzard UI usually just accounts for everything. But it's bad to modify. It's so shite. So I'm glad that's working. Modifications.
I think I'll always use LVUI. I'm just used to it at this point. And I mean, I probably wouldn't have to. I could use this UI if I wanted to, because I could kind of set it up like my UI is now. But I'm just used to it. I like it. I like the character. I think I like the character frames much better because you can adjust them. You can't really adjust these that much except like the size of them. Because what I want with my player frames is my health bar to be the biggest. I don't need like the portrait at all. I just want a big square so I can just see my health and I don't have to like look at it too much. Like these icons, they're for like your target and for yourself. They're huge. Where I just need my health. That's all I need.
The quest track.
And my mana, I guess, or focus.
God, it's such a pain in the ass that I end up just minimizing that damn thing all the time. One thing they're going to be changing is the quest bang. You probably don't know what that is. In fact, it wasn't a term I heard until we were on the campus. But it's actually exclamation mark above NPCs' heads that have quests for you. You're going to be able to edit that, it seems. That's at least what's mentioned. It's just written in a list of things they're allowing us to do, but they're going to be able to change that in some way. Okay. But what was really interesting was edit mode ++.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That sounds interesting, because that sounds like
Weird
they're
name.
going to give you a lot more flexibility in little tiny changes that you can make to UI. Edit mode ++ has me particularly excited that they've created an advanced mode.
I don't like that name,
who really
though.
want to fidget with their UIs.
I don't like that
I
name.
look around Twitch, and I did it just before recording this. Not many people are utilizing the Blizz UI, like streamers in particular.
UI.
Because they have so many add-ons and so many modifiers that...
Yeah. The thing is, LVY, like most readers use this. It's just cleaner, right? It's just cleaner. You get weak auras. You can customize like everything, which is really nice.
It makes no sense because they're going to replace them with these UI packages that everybody has. Now, maybe it's a losing effort for Blizz to try and get people away from that, but for new players and for returning players, and especially for the more casual players who aren't...
Yeah, I think for casual players, like the majority of the player base can probably be using the Blizzard UI now. And I think a lot of the player base probably does. Like the casuals and the people that are new, you know, they might not grow and play and use this. Whereas before, the past, decade, it's like most of the player base used add-ons. And it was kind of like the standard, where I think the standard has kind of been, you can kind of use either.
Not download.
I didn't do this fight at all. I never did this fight. I didn't do this raid. I was playing other games. This fight looked... I mean, watching it looked cool. I remember watching this race. I had COVID. This was last year, right? It was like March, like 20th, I think. I had COVID or something last year, and I had COVID, and I was just watching the world race a lot, just in bed, and it looked cool. I think like having to go like put the bombs and these like little honeycombs here was really cool to watch. Other than that, I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest.
Massive packages of add-ons, and some people just plain don't like add-ons. This should be really cool, so I'm very curious as soon as this goes into PTR, which it might be this week because they just renamed one of our PTRs to 10.1 from 10.05. So I'll be very curious to see if that's on there, and if it is, it's one of the first things we're going to mess with. Is like, what is edit mode plus plus? They didn't give us a Q&A during this presentation, so couldn't get any answers on that. The other one is cross-faction guilds are finally coming to the game.
This is big. I am really excited about this. I was talking about this on stream the other day because like a few weeks ago I wanted to join a Mythic raiding guild. And I still kind of do, but it's just like a time thing. Like most guilds raid late, and finding a guild, I looked at like 100 guilds when they raid and everything, and I applied to I think 4. And I think all of them were Alliance because they just had like good times for me. We're just like early Eastern time, right? Like it's like 6 to like 10 Eastern or whatever in that time frame. But the majority of them were Alliance. So if I wanted to join their guild, not only would I have to server transfer, so I had to pay for that, I would then have to change my faction, which is another payment. That'd be like $50 to just play with people I want to play with. Because you can't do cross-realm mythic when the raids come out, right? So I'd have to spend like $50 to play with the guild. Now, with this new change, I just gotta, I could join their guild and I could raid with them. I just have to switch their server.
We suspected it for a while, they've talked about it, and we are probably going to see it in 10.1. The presentation I got to see, presented by Maria, the words were very specific that we're working on it, and it is scheduled for 10.1. But it wasn't said that it was ready. So it might not be a launch feature exactly, but they're planning to have this in and working for 10.1. It may even launch with it. Who knows? It just, the wording made it sound like maybe it wasn't quite ready or quite 100%, but certainly it's on the cards for 10.1. Now...
it was stupid. It had the time to jump in the holes. Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's the hard part of it. Yeah, if you time it bad, you die, right? But that's cool. I mean, that's part of the mechanic. I think it was a pretty cool mechanic, at least from a viewer's perspective. I never did the fight, like I said, so maybe it sucked to play.
This is something I'm really looking forward to. We have so many viewers, so many people we want to play with. All getting them into one guild is really difficult without having to transfer, or just because they want to play other races, like many other games have done now. I know so many people who would rather play the Alliance races, and we've seen the world first.
That's one thing I really like about this expansion, is being able to play with the Alliance. It's so much faster to find a group, to find players. Like, can you imagine, like, 'cause I play early, like, sometimes I'll be recruiting for a heroic raid at 11 a.m., like right now, or 10 a.m., and it takes a while to fill up, but eventually, after like 20, maybe 30 minutes, we'll find people. But if it was only Horde, it would take a lot longer. It would take a lot longer, and it would just want to be as fun. Same thing with like Mythic Plus.
Guilds do exactly this, but are kind of forced to play Horde because of the raid scene, or they have to have some sort of extra character that they go back on to do the achievements and things on with the guild. Otherwise, they don't get to benefit from it. Cross-faction guilds is one of the biggest features I'm looking forward to. It has been a hell of a long time coming, especially with Thrall and Jaina shaking hands and cuddling all the time. So she said we're currently working on it. It's slated for 10.1. We just didn't get like the verbal confirmation. We didn't get to ask questions that it's happening at the start of 10.1, but we'll probably see it during that patch cycle, which... it's fine. That's all really good. That was pretty much everything they let us know about this place. What are my thoughts on it, like, overall? Very cool. Like, I was pretty excited by a lot of this stuff. Besides the raid release, which doesn't really affect me anymore, as I'm currently just doing Heroic until I feel the need to go back into Mythic. Vault of the Incarnates did not give me that feeling.
Yeah, that's kind of why, like I mentioned earlier, I mentioned weeks ago applying to Mythic raiding guilds, and I'm kind of torn on it now because... playing with people at your skill level is really good. Like, pugging is just awful, man. Like, it really is. I mean, I even, check out everyone's logs and everything, and I think I've had a lot of success in that regard. But even just, like, people leaving, that's the one thing. People going AFK, people leaving. Like, I tried to do Mythic Taros, like, a few weeks ago, and then after the first 2, 3 people left, and I can't replace them, right? So... it's really difficult to play with pugs, and pugging in general, even at a high level, is also still not a good experience. Like doing 22 keys, and then use the last boss, like yesterday, and then the tank and the warrior are beefing, and then the healer just leaves. You know, even though it was he made one mistake. We didn't time the key, but we still finishing the key. You get, you know, your vault done. So people rage quitting is annoying. People are toxic with pugs. So there are so many pros to playing with a guild, especially if you want a mythic raid. But I feel like personally, vault, after playing it on heroic several weeks and even a lot of it on mythic, or like the first 2 on mythic, it doesn't seem like a raid I really want to play on mythic. So I haven't been pursuing joining a mythic raiding guild. And that's why I'm really hoping the next raid is good and just better, because I think Vault is just a mid raid. You know, the only fights that really stand out are Razageth, which I do like. I think Grim Totem is pretty cool, and Broodkeeper Stom, Dathi is pretty cool. But then again, I can have a bias towards this because I haven't done them on mythic. I think the best fights, the fights really show their potential on mythic because there's the extra mechanics, right? Like Eggnog on mythic is a lot more fun than it is on heroic, you know? And I think raiding in general is just a lot more fun on mythic because it's harder, there's more mechanics going on, there's usually at least 1 or 2 extra mechanics per fight than there is on heroic difficulty. So, but overall, just from seeing like the raids on heroic, you know, usually you can tell like how a fight is and how a raid is after you do on heroic. Because like then there's just like 1 extra mechanic. But the base mechanics, a lot of these fights on Vault aren't that fun. So I'm hoping the next raid's good. I might raid Mythic next raid. We'll see. Did you watch the Halo series? Oh wait, are you joking? I heard the Halo series on Paramount Plus wasn't good at all. I heard it was like really bad. But I don't know. Like I haven't played Halo since Halo 3. Yeah, I only play WoW for the raids too. Like raids and Mythic Plus, but raiding is my favorite content. It's just like, especially when you're with a guild, you know, you become friends with people and you have a common goal of going into this really hard fight and beating the shit out of it. And then after wiping on a mythic for like, you know, a month, like, you know, Castle Nathria, Stone Legion Guardians, and Cyrodiil Athreus, both those fights took about a month to kill. And after you get that kill, you know, you get that joy. Everything just like comes together. No one makes a stupid mistake. Everything is just executed perfectly. It just feels really good. And I think it's, especially in WoW, it's an experience that you can't really get anywhere else in gaming. Like, obviously, like Elden Ring, I'd say, like the Dark Souls type games are kind of similar in terms of like hard bosses, but that's solo content. There's no other genre or games out there that really you have to cooperate with like a big group of people on like a Souls-like or like a really challenging encounter. There's nothing really like it. A lot of people hated on the Halo series. Yeah, I never really checked it out.
I was fine with not doing that on Mythic. Razageth looked like kind of a pain in the ass, and I did.
Yeah, Razageth on Mythic looks fucking awful.
That was what I judged it on. Was on Razageth. I was like, we could raid Mythic again. We talked with our team, which had a good 20 people in it, and we were like, do we really want to do this pushback stuff and all that? And like, not really. I'm quite happy doing some M+ and just clearing heroic, which is what we did. But hopefully, we'll see. 9 bosses, not a huge amount. The universal release will be hit and miss, and depending on who you are. What I am interested in is the zone. I'm interested in Zeralek Kevin. We're going to get to fly there straight away. I want to know, like, the biggest thing I'm feeling is, what improvements have you made from dragon flying? Because obviously, as we know, with the development cycle, Zeralek Kevin has been in production for a long time. We know that.
Oh, wow,
right?
Okay.
We know how the system works now. We've revealed that. We've pulled back the curtain on it. So, has it had any effect yet? Or will we have to wait till like 10.3 to see like real change based on what they learned at the start of Dragonflight? Really interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Super interested to see how it goes,
too.
as well as the new UI stuff. And obviously, looking into new Mythic Plus dungeons makes me excited for Mythic Plus again. I've never been excited about Mythic Plus besides the start of an expansion. New season, sure, but I'm excited to get a whole bunch of new gear rather than run the dungeons. We're going to get to relearn a bunch of new dungeons. We're going to get to fool around, fall over, and do all those kind of things, and reset everybody to getting back in. And obviously this time, people will go in well better prepared because they'll have experience with doing Dragonflight dungeon style and all the different CCs that are now with the new talent tree system.
Yeah, that's
and then
true.
we're going to
That's
get
true.
to apply that to all these new dungeons with pretty decent gear rather than the starter greens that we went in Dragonflight. So all that has me pretty excited about 10.1. I'll be looking forward to jumping in day one. So that's the presentation. Big thanks to Blizzard for showing this off. It was very cool. We don't have a release date for 10.1. March 21st is 10.07. So stick around and I will give you my thoughts on this new advanced Torghast system that they're iterating on. Blizzard's
That was it. That was a good video. I really think this is an important patch. Like I said, I think this patch is important for the game. You know, if it's not good, people are gonna leave. But so far, though, I think it is gonna be good from what we have seen so far. It's not like the Shadowlands first patch, but it was just awful. I just hope the raid's good. That's kind of what I'm mostly looking forward to. The Mythic Plus season, I have to say, is actually looking pretty good too. I'm excited to do those other dungeons. So yeah, that was a good video. I'm excited for this patch. I hope it's not too close to the Diablo 4 release, but we'll see.